Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today, I'm going over all the trade deadline, trade deadline acquisitions, all the moves, the most important ones, giving my thoughts and opinions on all of the trades. My fault that I couldn't get this video out earlier. I had a lot of stuff to do yesterday, and the roommates. Anyways, it's time to get into this video. All right, so the first one I want to go over was, the Roquan Smith trade. I made a shorts about this one, but I want to do it on camera. Now, Baltimore Ravens traded a second and a fifth for Roquan Smith. Obviously, he was going to go for a high asking price, and probably one of the best off-ball linebackers for the future. Yeah, you did trade a second-round pick, but you also have to pay him a lot. And if you're paying a second-round pick for a rental, not the greatest looking. I think they're looking to re-sign him as well to a long-term deal. And should the Ravens have gotten this much, or I should given this much, second round pick's a lot, by the way. Should they have given this much for him, knowing that they have basically no wide receivers, and they should have addressed that? Maybe. I think that their defense struggled mightily. I think their defense is the biggest reason why they have been losing games, especially because they blew multiple double-digit leads. But are they really an off-ball linebacker away from maybe contending? Probably not. But even though that scheme-wise, yeah, it works. He basically replaces Patrick Queen in that role of being the off-ball. And I think and for the Bears, you get a decent, good package back from the Roquan Smith trade. Even though I think they could have gotten, I think they possibly had a first in the offseason, but also wanted to go over this one, the Robert Quinn trade. The Bears are extremely active, trading away pieces. They got a fourth-round pick back, fine compensation for a player who was not going to re-sign after this year, this last year on his contract. I think they could have moved him for more over the offseason, maybe a third-round pick, because he had 18.5 sacks, second in the league last year. And for the Eagles, loading up. This is your contending year. Jalen Hurts is playing at an elite level. The entire team's playing at an elite level. So add an edge rusher piece that is productive. Kadarius Toney goes to the Chiefs. Weapon, absolutely dangerous weapon when he's on the field. Now, he hasn't been on the field a lot because of the Giants said it was a hamstring injury. It looks like it really wasn't Fugazi injury, but this could be possibly Tyreek Hill 2.0. I mean, Kadarius Toney literally, it feels like he plays without ACLs. He does have them, but the thing about him is he is extremely flexible pivoting. And he's one of the most elusive players. The reason why he was drafted in the first round as well. And for the Giants, you get a third round and a sixth-round pick for a guy who wasn't going to play. But for the Chiefs, this is the biggest move because your wide receiver room is already stacked with speed guys, with elusive guys. You got your ex's Juju Smith-Schuster. And now you got your flexible guy that you can just make him run routes. And you got Patrick Mahomes who can hit those. I mean, you could send Kadarius Toney on a crosser route all day, and Patrick Mahomes is going to dump that in there 40 yards. I mean, it could be a very fun offense in the near future. All right, the first move of the day was actually T.J. Hawkinson. He was traded for I'll get the details right now. So he was traded for a second-round pick and a third-round pick, and the Lions had to give up 2 fourths. And for the Vikings, I think they gave up a little bit too much. Just because a second and a third for a tight end, if he's not a game-changing tight end, which T.J. Hawkinson isn't, he's a very good tight end, but he's not a game-changing tight end. I think you might have given up a little bit too much value for him. But you get 2 fourths back, which is fine, and you get a really good tight end. Scheme-wise, this is going to be a really fun team because now Irv Smith went out with a high ankle sprain, 8 to 10 weeks, and now you got T.J. Hawkinson to go into and fit into that role. So you have T.J. Hawkinson, you have Dalvin Cook in the backfield, and then you have Justin Jefferson, and then you have Adam Thielen, and then KJ Osborne, and then Jalen Reagor. So your offense is looking great with Kirk Cousins under center. The offensive line is playing good. You're 6-1. So this is going to be a very fun offense. And then for the Lions, you picked this guy 8th overall, and didn't really work out. Definitely overdrafted him. And but you got some decent compensation back. I don't know whether the Lions are gonna essentially restart the rebuild with a new quarterback next year. Very possibly, if they fire Dan Campbell and if they cut Jared Goff. If they get the first overall pick, I mean or if they get another like top 3 pick, I think that should be the next move. Even though I like Dan Campbell a lot, haven't seen a lot of production. All right, the biggest move of the day was the Bradley Chubb trade, edge rusher from the Denver Broncos. He goes to the Miami Dolphins, who are in a heavy contending mode, and the Miami Dolphins get Bradley Chubb in a 5th-round pick, and they had to give up their 2021st pick, which is San Francisco. Going to be a mid-20s pick. They had to give up a 4th, and they gave up Chase Edmonds. Value-wise, they gave up a ton for a guy that they're going to probably have to re-sign. A first-round pick is a lot, but Bradley Chubb is up there. He's high. I think he's pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he's top 15 in pressure rates. He has 5 sacks, and he's top 15 in QB hits as well, if I'm not incorrect. But it's a really good move for a contending team. And Miami actually does make another move with Jeff Wilson, but this is a good move for a contending team that's trying to balance out their team. Their offense is insane with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua Tagovailoa, and their defense. Yes, they have Jalen Phillips, who's playing at a great level, and their secondary is banged up a little bit, but they don't have that other edge rusher. I know they have Emmanuel Ogbah, but Emmanuel Ogbah plays more interior around the 3 tech, around the 5 tech. He plays more like 3-4 defensive end, and then you have Jalen Phillips on the outside. You're going to get another edge rusher that fits mainly the scheme going from Denver to Miami. You're going to have that edge rusher, and defense is looking a lot more solid. Bears traded for Chase Claypool for a 2023 second-round pick. This is their own pick. This is not the Ravens pick from the Roquan Smith trade. You gave up a lot. A second-round pick's a lot, and let me speak on Chicago's side for a little bit. Yes, I do like them being aggressive, going out and getting a wide receiver who is 6'4" and who had 11 touchdowns in his rookie year in 2020. And you're trying to help Justin. I think that this move kind of solidifies the fact that Justin Fields is their franchise quarterback. He's going to stay. They're not going to replace him. You get him a wide receiver 1, X receiver, or at least you're going to try to mold him into that. Then you have Darnell Mooney on the Y, and then hopefully you look to get maybe like a Jackson Smith and Jigba, or possibly a Keyshawn Butte. You put him in the slot, and that's a really good receiving core. But you gave up a second-round pick for him. That's a lot of value that you gave for a wide receiver who is kind of just mid. He's not in that top 30 range. He's not in maybe even top 40 range of the best wide receivers. He was barely targeted with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think for a second round pick, when I had guys like Amari Cooper got traded for a 5th, and but for the Steelers, you get a great value bet. You get great value, and you already picked George Pickens, who is his replacement at the X. So for the Steelers, good move, and for the Bears, you're getting hopefully a wide receiver 1 for Justin Fields. Calvin Ridley was traded to the Jaguars for a 2024 second round pick, and this is that's really the main part that matters. Yeah, they gave up a 5th round pick this year, but it ended up being just a second round pick and a 5th for Calvin Ridley, and I think the Jaguars got a 4th back possibly. But for the Falcons, he wasn't playing this year. Obviously gambled, and Falcons have not necessarily their replacement in Drake London, but they're just building up a core, and Calvin Ridley was not going to stay there for long. And for the Jaguars, you get a really good receiver. That's going to be, and the Jaguars are not competing this year. Let's be honest, they're 2-6. Trevor Lawrence has been looking bad. The offense stalls out on occasion, but you add another piece to Christian Kirk. So you got Calvin Ridley there, and you got Christian Kirk, and you got Travis Etienne, who is having his breakout season right now. So that offense could look very, very good next year. In addition to their solid defense, I think the Jaguars have a solid defense. So that team could actually be, they could be a possibility for a playoff team because Calvin Ridley is a good receiver, and you gave up a 2024 second, so that won't even matter until next year. Dolphins acquire Jeff Wilson from the 49ers. Obviously, the 49ers traded for Christian McCaffrey. I already made a video about that, so I won't be addressing that in this one. Traded only a 5th-round pick for him. You lost Chase Edmonds, so essentially this is going to be a similar backfield with Raheem Mostert and then Jeff Wilson. They didn't go out and get a running back 1 like I think some people wanted them to with a Kareem Hunt. Obviously, Kareem Hunt was in the mix. But you get a cheaper deal for a running back who does the job, who's decently efficient. And, yeah. Denver Broncos needing to replace Bradley Chubb went out and traded for Jacob Martin, edge rusher from the Jets, for basically a 4th-round pick, and the Jets gave them a 5th-round pick. 2 things here. For the Denver Broncos, you get a edge rusher who's solid, who has decent pressure rate for a cheap deal. He's on a $3.5 million contract, and looking to have him probably as an every down rusher. Next to Barrett Browning, Ohio State linebacker converted edge rusher who has like immediate jump off the ball, who is so fast off the edge. He's likely going to get the bulk of the edge rushing as well. And then for the Jets, you want to give more snaps to 2 guys, Jermaine Johnson, your 1st-round pick, and then Bryce Huff, who is leading the league in pass rush win rate. So you alleviate the competition, essentially. And also you clear cap space for next year if you want to re-sign Bryce Huff, which they probably should do, and give him more snaps. So that's the trade there. The Bills get Nyheim Hines in exchange for Zach Moss in a 6th-round pick. They really ended up not giving James Cook any real opportunity. I mean, this is basically a James Cook replacement. Zach Moss obviously is not a receiving back, doesn't fit that role. And then James Cook, who they picked with the 60th or 62nd pick, they kind of gave up on him already. You know, it's supposed to be a good pass-catching back, but really that's not his role anymore. He's kind of just... Devin Singletary kind of took over that backfield as the lead running back. But now they have Nyheim Hines, who is a good pass-catching back. So they kind of fixed that little hole there. Is he going to get like the same amount of snap share as Zach Moss basically did? It was just a swap. Yeah, but he has what Zach Moss doesn't, which is pass-catching ability. And then huge L for James Cook, though. And then this is the last move that I'm going to go over. I just think this is hilarious because William Jackson III is horrible. Pretty trash. And the Steelers, with Akil Witherspoon, who's also trash, now have a horrific secondary with William Jackson, who they traded a 6th-round pick for. He's just going to be depth at this point, but William Jackson, horrible in zone. Horrendous in zone. And then you have Akil Witherspoon, who gets burned a lot. So I just thought that was a funny move. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know your favorite trade acquisition from your team. Let me know let me know the winners, let me know the loser of the trade deadline, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.